Alright, not much to say because, like we said in the last video, we're really just looking for a break outside of this outside bar now. Just kind of waiting for something like that to give us some more clarity. And in the meantime, we can just evaluate everything that we see on the inside. But this is just our second bar on the inside, so not much to say about it. This isn't technically a short setup, but possibly on a lower time frame. Basically, what we would be looking for is to consider the outside bar of this 4 hour outside bar to be a trading range, and then maybe kind of looking for shorts near the top of it with kind of a small bar on a low time frame. Oh, this actually looks interesting, like maybe for a little pop here for a few $100. Um, I'm not really seeing any sort of small bar near the top of this. At this point, you kind of still have to treat it like it's a trend. So not really seeing any sort of major short signal. Like your short signal would have been obviously like this was the bar and then kind of gets filled on this nasty bar, and then we're just kind of probably holding if you're short. And hopefully you didn't get filled down here because then you've been underwater this entire time and still underwater now. Um, Possibly kind of on this little low time frame type stuff. Maybe getting a breakout above this level here. Um, Break above here, and then is this really the test? And then kind of a weak test and breaking above here. So on this little small 3 minute time frame, I guess it would be a buy above this candle. Technically, it should be a buy above this candle, but this is so tight, such a tight range here that I would I would really rather see us break away from this range with some conviction. So maybe after this bar, if we get a good strong push up here, now kind of depending on what happens here, if we just start to dip down, and especially if we break underneath this bar, then wouldn't really be keeping this buy open. But I think it's fine to have a buy up here and kind of just start to evaluate what goes on. But it's very reasonable, of course, for us to kind of form, like, especially if we look at this on a 1 minute time frame, like some sort of wedge like this, and then maybe break down for like a test of this low, and maybe get a double bottom from which we can buy a bounce, or possibly even we get a lower low test and then get a bounce. But I would think that, yeah, probably going to get some sort of bounce soon, looking for at least this level here, 63.1, if not a little bit higher. And then maybe look for a second chance short up there to kind of bring it back into this range. But that's only if we're going to continue to be range bound. We'll obviously have to see if we're going to respect this outside bar as a trading range, or if we're going to use this outside bar as kind of a pumping tool. We'll have to see, but that's kind of just my thoughts right now. This is pretty meaningless on the 4 hour. Obviously, this 15 minute is kind of looking like we're possibly putting in one leg down and then the second leg down, but realistically, this all is one trend line. So this is just kind of one leg down, and maybe you kind of have this like wedge kind of shape, and so we're getting a little breakout of that wedge, and then possibly get a test of here or up here, and then maybe a dump from there. Because this is pretty strong, I would say. I think we would be expecting a second leg down. So even if we get a straight up here, I would think we get a second leg down. Even if we get a higher high test, I would think that we should revisit this region again, if not further down. So that would be what I would be looking for on the short side, but right now probably not looking necessarily for any shorts in this region unless we get some sort of like, this is our trend line break, and then we get like a pullback on a lower time frame that makes it look like, yeah, we're going to get a nice little sell off. But as far as the 1 hour, I mean, I guess technically this is your sell signal to sell underneath this, but not a great follow through bar right now. So we'll have to see how it goes. Like I said, I think it's probably pretty realistic and reasonable that we get a second leg down from here. So maybe expecting this to actually fail and not even get a pump up to this 63 300 regions. But this is a pretty strong candle. This was a pretty nice candle by bulls, and it reversed, like almost 6 or 7 candles worth of activity. So if we continued to pump from here, I think that would be pretty. I don't know. I think it could be pretty decent for at least a scalp. I don't want to say more than a scalp because I think this is strong enough that we probably get a second leg down. Even if it's just, this weak type of, you know, even if it's just this weak type of thing that only gets us to like mid 62.5 kind of thing before we put in a second leg here. Let's just see what we have going on.